Hi everyone, so good day, and today we'll be having another topic for EDUC 70, which is developmental and social-cultural dimensions of learning. So we have discussed the different theories in learning, the the different types of learners, different categories of knowledge. So now we will be moving on to uh, the developmental and sociocultural dimension of learning. So, learning is socially created. So, when we say it is socially created, it means, ano pala na next? Sorry. Yan. Yan. When we say learning is socially created, it means that it is or it is built from our social interactions, interpersonal relationships, and communication with others. So, ibig sabihin, kapag sinabi natin na learning is socially created, siya ay galing sa pakikipagkapwa-tao natin, pakikisama natin sa ibang tao, pakikipag-usap natin, pagbe-build natin ng relationship with them. Okay? And, um, it is normal for humans to learn socially because we are born as social creatures, and most of what we learn and what we know is from our interaction with others, no? Yung mga bagay na alam natin, yung mga bagay na natututunan natin, talents natin, or let's say skills na nalalaman natin, usually ay natututunan natin siya from other people, from talking with them, ano pa ba, being with them, 'di ba? Kaya nga 'di ba, naging famous yung saying na show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are because we basically because we are social creatures, we are born to learn, or we it is innate for us to learn from other people. If you can remember one of the principles of communication, nakalagay doon or sabi doon, um, na parang sinabi doon, I forgot the whole text, but it is one characteristic of a human being na makipag-socialize sa isang tao because that is his social obligation. No man is an island, no one is born to be alone. And we live through or with the help of other people, with the help of communicating with them and interacting with them. Next, key terms related to social constructivism, we have context. So, kapag inilagay natin ang context doon sa topic natin sa Gen Ed 5, which is purposive communication, context is where did the communication happen. So, same as here, ito yung circumstances, settings, and environment na nag-take place or kung saan nag-take place yung learning natin. Okay? Let's say, in a crowded place, for example, in Baguio, in like this and like that, inside the classroom, when we are having our group activity in, for example, Janet 5, something like that. That is the context. Next, group of people who work together. So, ito naman yung um, people who have common interests or goals and who regularly interact and coordinate their efforts to achieve those interests and goals. So, 'di ba kapag tayo ay may group activity, we always or kapag may group activity, as a leader, ang ideal setup ng group activity, hindi lang leader ang gagawa, no? The leader will get information from his or her classmates or group mates And then, they will build something original, no? So, yun yung group of people who work together. Sila yung mga tao na merong same interest, same goals, na nag-interact to achieve a common goal. Okay? Next, authenticity. This is close resemblance of an activity or a task to what one will most likely encounter in the outside world. Etong mga bagay na to, these are the things that you need to remember as you as you go through the discussion or as you go through the learning process with your learner. Okay? When we say authenticity, ito yung um, pagmumulat mo sa mga learner tungkol sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa totoong mundo. Okay? Sa real world, sa outside world, ano yung pwede nilang maranasan in the future. Now, authenticity, you will give them authentic examples, authentic experiences, legit yung talagang mararanasan nila dito sa lugar natin. Gaya nga ng paulit-ulit kong sinasabi, wag mong sabihin na may snow sa Pilipinas dahil walang snow dito. Baka mag-intay siya, 'di ba? Pwede mong sabihin na bumabagyo, sorry, umuulan, ganyan. Meron tayong dalawang seasons, pero hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na meron din tayong winter, meron tayong spring, meron tayong summer, meron tayong fall na kagaya nila, na meron tayong four phases um, ng anong tawag doon, season. Hindi, kasi dalawa lang yung season natin, 'di ba? Yan. So, yun. As you give example, kapag kayo ay nagtuturo na, one thing that you need to consider is giving them real life situations, um, real life na mga examples na ma-encounter talaga nila kapag tumanda na sila. Like me, I'm giving you examples that you can have, or I'm sharing examples na pwede niyong maranasan kapag nagturo na kayo. Same goes with you. Kapag naging high school sila, kung elementary, pag naging college, kapag naging matatanda na sila, give them activities, or let's say examples wherein marirealize nila, sinabi to ni teacher nung kami ay ganito. Like that. Next is scaffolding, which is the assistance and support given by an expert to a person or student during the learning process. So, scaffolding, ito yung teacher, tinuturuan niya yung isang estudyante, no? Let's say, expert, tinuturuan niya yung isang student. Ganon. So, scaffolding, you are assisting someone to learn. Culture, this is the traits of a person, the society, or subculture within a community. So basically, ito yung kung ano yung meron ang isang tao, say it be beliefs, values, point of view, lahat ng mga bagay na kailangan mong tanggapin, desirable man siya or undesirable, kasi yun yung totoo. Yun yung totoong part ng isang tao, totoong part ng isang member ng community na hindi natin mayaalis sa kanya. Okay? Next, social constructivism. All knowledge emerges from social interaction and language usage and is shared rather than an individual experience. So, pag sinabi natin social constructivism, ito yung um, belief, no, na ang lahat ng alam natin ay brought by our interaction with other people, brought about how we use the language and um how we share how we share what we know with other people. 'Di ba hindi naman kasi lahat ng bagay alam natin. And mostly mabilis or natututunan natin yung mga bagay-bagay kapag tayo ay nakikipag-interact with our friends. May mga bagay tayong hindi alam na alam ng friends natin na nagigets natin or nakukuha natin, na-adapt natin. That is very helpful sa atin na as a learner. Kasi syempre, di mo yun alam eh, di ba? So, yung way na nasi-share niya yung alam niya is a blessing. Kasi kahit papaano nadadagdagan kung ano yung alam mo. Ngayon, ikaw may alam ka na hindi niya alam, share mo din, 'di ba? Para it's an exchanging of information, exchanging of knowledge, exchanging of what you know. Next, we have the general implications for educational practice in Vygotsky's social cultural view of learning. So here we will be studying the different implications for educational practice according to or based on Vygotsky's view of learning. Here we have first the interaction with adults. What do interaction with adults contribute in learning? First, it helps the child make sense of the world through discussion of a phenomenon or event which both of them are experiencing. 'Di ba ang mga matatanda, papunta ka pa lang, pabalik na ako. Because when you experience something, nalaman nila or alam nila na na-experience mo yun at na-experience din nila, 'di ba, they make you realize why and how those things are happening because they've been there. Okay? And it encourages the child to think about a particular phenomenon, attach labels to it, or even recall the principles underlying it. So dito, um, hindi ka lang nagpaparealize sa kanila, but you also encourage them to think on their own. Think of what could possibly be the reason why you're what do you think is the possible reason why you experience those things? So, bakit ka nandyan? Anong ginawa mo? Anong, anong, ano bang ginawa mo the past few weeks? Let's say, ganon, diba? Yan. Or, diba, tayo, when we teach, during discussion, maraming tanong yung mga estudyante. Tapos, as we go on with the discussion, sabi ko nga sa inyo, we should not always answer the students' questions. We should let them think of what do you think is the reason why they are doing this. Then they can make inference about what they think, no, is the reason. Then after making an inference, it's the time for you to interact with them or to ano ba to add additional information or correct the information that they've shared from you. Like for example, ang 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 mga bata they usually ask, no, like kapag tinuruan mo sila or nag-lesson kayo for example ng history, then they will ask, "Ma'am, bakit po hindi lumaban si Rizal unlike Bonifacio and Apolinario Mabini?" So then you try to ask them, what do you think is his reason? Bakit sa tingin mo hindi siya lumaban? Paano ba siya lumaban kung hindi siya gumamit ng dahas? Then the student will say, through the writings or through writing novels and all, na ang kanyang tanging armor ay pen and paper. Then you'll add information like kasi um, he chose he chose to record everything. He chose to use pen and paper to disseminate the information and enlighten the minds of the readers and all. No, you somehow add, you somehow correct, and you somehow reflect on the inferences they're giving. Next, scaffolding. Ito yung sinabi ko kanina na yung teacher or yung taong may alam, no, experts, okay? Tinutulungan nila yung learner na matuto. It is a supportive technique carried out by experts or competent people which helps students of any age to perform and accomplish challenging tasks even if at that time they cannot yet perform this task independently. So with the help of, for example, our parents, let's say bata, tinuturuan mag-write, excuse me, 'di ba hindi naman nagagawa ng isang 4-year-old, for example, na bago-bago pa lang nagsusulat na isulat ng, excuse me, mag-isa yung pangalan niya. It's either may ite-trace siya or hawak ng parent yung kamay or ni teacher yung kamay niya, 'di ba? So that is scaffolding. You are teaching or you are helping the students to learn. Kaya man niya yung matutunan, um, kaya man niya yung matutunan mag-isa or hindi. Okay? Next, modeling the correct way of performing a task, dividing a big or complex tasks. So ito yung some forms or examples ng scaffolding. Dividing a big or complex task into smaller and simpler activities, setting guidelines for accomplishing a task. So here, it includes showing them how to perform a task, showing them how to stand properly, showing them how to run, showing them how to build a house from blocks. Next, dividing a bigger complex task into smaller and simpler. So, syempre, you will tell them start from this and then that and then that's the final output, no? Kasi usually they get bombarded with the things na pag nakita nilang mahirap, they will automatically say hindi ko kaya. But with the help of scaffolding, you give them techniques or share them information wherein they will be able to um, finish or accomplish the task given that you are there present helping them. Yan. Next, setting guidelines. Oh, when you are doing this, you need to do this. Don't use, for example, when you are when you are pasting pictures, don't use tape. Use a glue instead because para yung tape, ay kasi yung tape masyadong halata, yung glue, para yun yung magdidikit dun sa paper, something like that. Next, providing technology aids to make the task easier. So you can tell them, instead of writing, you can type it and then we will present it through PowerPoint presentation, keeping students focused on critical aspects of the task. So, kapag ka mahirap na yung ginagawa, ng isang estudyante, ang estudyante tinatamad na or wala na dun yung focus niya. Now, you should be the one to make sure na kahit mahirap yung task na yun, they are able to still focus and keep their attention doon sa ginagawa nila. Giving frequent feedback about how student is progressing. Siyempre, as they go through the process, pag nagawa nila yung isang bagay, for example, step 1, nagawa nila. Sabi mo, very good. Oh, that's good. Next step. Tapos yung next step, okay, good. Kasi through the feedback you are giving them, they can be encouraged or they can be motivated to learn. Kahit ang hirap-hirap, sige, tapusin ko to, kaya ko to, kasi tama naman yung ginagawa ko. Next, participation and gradual entry into adult activities. This increases the probability that children will engage in behavior and thinking skills within their zone of proximal development. Situation, the children's involvement should be mediated, supervised, and scaffolded by more competent adults. So, syempre, we cannot stop them from trying, no, or participating in adult activities. So what we need to do here is, of course, to supervise and mediate. Oh, this is not part of what you should do. You should not be doing this because you're still young. You have more. You have a lot to learn. You still have a lot to learn. Yan, diba? Apprenticeship, guided participation where a novice works with an expert mentor for a certain period to learn how to perform complex tasks in a particular domain. It can show novices how experts typically think about a task or activity. So, the difference of apprenticeship and scaffolding. Ang apprenticeship, you work with an expert for a certain period lang just to learn how to perform it. While scaffolding, um, the mentor, or let's say the expert, is helping you to perform and to accomplish the task given to you. Okay? Pag apprenticeship, tinuturuan ka niya kung paano gawin. Pero kapag scaffolding, kasali siya. Tumutulong siya sa'yo na tapusin kung ano yung ginagawa mo. Okay? Here are the different types or kinds of apprenticeship. First is modeling. Yun, pinaperform niyo yung task at the same time thinking aloud or talking about the process while the learner listens. So, sa scaffolding, minomodel niya kung paano gawin. Nakikita lang ni learner. Sa apprenticeship, alam niyo yung ginagawa ng mga flight attendant sa plane kapag ginagawa na nila yung safety, yung mga oxygen, kung anong gagawin, ganon. Habang ginagawa nila, may nagsasalita or sinasabi nila kung paano gagawin. Next is coaching. You frequently give suggestions, hints, and feedback as learner performs the task. So, syempre, ganito. Ginagawa niya yung task. Ngayon sasabihin mo, tanggalin mo yung ganito. Ganito yung i-perform mo. Tapos kapag magsasalita ka na, make sure na before ka magsalita, clear yung throat mo para hindi ka pumiyok, something like that. So coaching, you give them suggestion. You give your feedback based on what they're presenting. Then, eto na, scaffolding. So, you simplify the task and you make it smaller para hindi komplikado. Sa apprenticeship, regardless kung ito ay mahirap, kung ito ay madali, you are teaching them. Unlike sa scaffolding, pinapadali mo yung mga bagay-bagay as you teach them, as you be with them throughout the process. Articulation explains what he is doing and why, allowing the mentor to examine or analyze the learner's knowledge, reasoning, and problem-solving strategies. So, sa articulation naman, um, ina-explain ni learner kung ano yung ginagawa niya at bakit niya yung ginagawa. Tapos, si mentor, ang ginagawa niya is, ina-analyze niya kung paano mag-isip yung learner. That is articulation. Reflection, the mentor asks the learner to compare his performance with that of experts or with the model of how the task should be done. So, reflection, kinukumpara ni mentor, kinukumpara ni learner pala yung um, ginagawa niya with the one na nag-model nung gagawin niya. Okay? Kinukumpara ni learner yung sarili niya dun sa mentor niya or dun sa expert. Pwedeng ganon. Increasing complexity and diversity of tasks. With increasing learners' proficiency, the mentor presents more complex, challenging, and varied tasks to accomplish. So here, pahirap ng pahirap ng pahirap ng pahirap. Yun lang yan. Exploration. The mentor encourages the learner to frame questions and problems on his own, and in doing so, refine and expand his acquired skills. So with exploration, you encourage or you encourage the learner to formulate questions and problems on his own. Magsagot ka ng questions on your own, magsagot ka ng problems on your own, gumawa ka ng tanong on your own based sa kung ano yung natanggap mo ay kung ano yung na-acquire mo na skills, and this will help you expand what you know because you are curious of learning something. Now, as you ask question, the mentor answer, and okay, ganun pala yun. So, dapat pala ganun yung ginawa ko. The next time you're doing the same activity, you already know the right technique or the right strategy to use. Next. Next, ito po ay sa ano na po tayo ulit? Sa implications or educational practice, acquisition of teaching skills. As children and first-hand information and skills. Wait. As children knew and first-hand information and skills from experienced members of the community. They can in turn, any po yun, any first-hand information and skills, in turn teach their knowledge to others. So, syempre, the people of the community is, di ba nga, socio-constructivism. We learn from social interaction. Now, as children learn from getting along with others, they can show what they know to others and teach them. Like for example, tinuruan mo yung isang bata na, oh, kapag ka magbibuild ka ng blocks, ganito yung technique mo. Kapag ka yung mahaba muna bago yung maliit. Tapos pumasok siya sa school, nakita niya yung kaklase niya nagbubuo ng blocks. Maliit-liit muna, tapos malaki. Sabi niya, no. Sabi ni daddy, ganito daw yung gawin. Something like that. Okay? You you teach or they teach what they know. Next, dynamic assessment. This, this requires first the identification of tasks that children cannot do independently, then provide in-depth instruction and practice in developing cognitive behaviors along this task, and finally, determine the extent to which the learner benefited from the intervention. So, dynamic assessment dito, um, a-identify mo kung saan nahihirapan si learner. Ano yung mga bagay na hindi niya magawa ng siya lang. Then after that, you give them instruction on how to do this. Then let them do it on their own. Okay? Then after that, you will determine if the learner really learned from what activity or from the practice that you've taught them. Okay? From that strategy you've taught them. Here are the methods in keeping the socio-constructivist view of learning. So first is peer tutoring. This involves allowing students to ask as tutors and duties. Time should be spent on training tutors. So peer tutoring, yung mga higher levels daw, no, they teach students from lower levels. No? So, syempre, dun sa peer tutoring, ang pinagtuturo nila teacher ay yung mga syempre master yung isang subject, master yung isang topic, yung masasabi natin na magaling, and syempre yung na-train nila how you're going to teach this. Here are the guidelines, here are the step. No? Yan. Next is cooperative learning. You give opportunity for students to work in small groups and learn or help each other learn. So, 'di ba, ang cooperative learning, meron tayong mga group activities, brainstorming, ganyan. With that, you help each other na matuto. Kunwari, okay, mag-review kayo by group as may leader. O, saan ka nahihirapan? O, sa ganito, ganito yung gagawin natin. So, nag-review sila ng sama-sama at the end, natuto sila. Okay? Group discussion, problem-solving task may be assigned to a group. And the group can develop its own structure and how to go about solving the problem. O, ito, for example, merong question na binigay kayo sa isang student. For example, excuse me, how are you going to change verbs in present tense to past tense? Mga ganon. How will you know that the verb is in past tense and in present tense? So, by group, kunwari, pinagawa mo yun. So, syempre, bawat isa sa kanila mag-iisip ng technique. Paano ba natin malalaman? Sige, anong naisip nyo? Yan. So, meron silang sarili-sarili nilang way para ma-solve yung problem. Doon mo makikita kung gaano kalikot yung isip ng mga estudyante through group discussion because they exchange information based on their imagination. Now, let's move to situated learning theory. So, situated learning theory, this exemplifies the view that learning is a product of the cultural context to where one lives or exists. Situated cognition or are situated learning is a theory that suggests learning is naturally tied to authentic activity, context, and culture. So situated learning theory, um, learning is the product of the cultural context kung saan tayo nabibilang. Parte ng isang tao ang pagkatuto or tayo ay natututo based sa kung ano yung kinalakihan natin, kung ano yung ginagawa natin, saan bang ano bang lugar tayo lumaki, saan lugar tayo lumaki, paano yung ways of living natin, yung culture, yung belief, yung views natin, point of view natin, mga ganon. Most learning occurs naturally through social activities, context, and the culture which learners are exposed to. So, 'di ba? We have different ways of learning. We have different ways of living nga, and we have different cultures. And makikita mo yon diversity ng learners kapag ka nasa isang classroom na kayo. Ang isang bata na lumaki sa lumaki na masipag or palaging nagsusulat everyday sila ni mommy niya before pumasok sa school. Mahilig yan magsagot, mahilig yan magsulat. Compared dun sa bata na, oh, maglaro ka dyan, bahala ka dyan, diba? That is the context and the culture na kinalakihan niya. And involved din doon, syempre, yung social activities niya. Kapag ang bata ay hindi sanay makipag laro with other kids, the tendency is that kid is isolated or shy. Pero kapag sanay yan na nakikipaglaro sa mga bata, siya mismo yung mag-a-approach sa ibang bata to play with him or her. This theory suggests that it is more difficult to learn from a natural activity, deriving and creating meaning from the real activities of daily living. So, syempre, totoo naman. Mas mahirap namang matutunan yung mga bagay na hindi naman nangyayari or hindi mo usually ginagawa. Compared dun sa mga bagay na parte ng daily living mo. Like for example, um, andun tayo sa point na babalikan tayo or ang ituturo sa ating ways and means ay nung wala pang phone, wala pang TV. So, ang hirap naman na ia-apply mo yung isang type or isang strategy na walang phone, walang TV sa mga bata na exposed sa gadgets. They will find it somehow boring, they will find it unattractive, hindi motivating, hindi nakakatuwa, hindi entertaining. Okay? So, syempre, as you give them activities, as you give them learning, as you share your knowledge with them, as you show them strategies, you should always make sure that those things are related to what they do. No? Yeah, next is social interaction, interpersonal relation, and communication in learning process. Doon muna tayo sa social interaction. So, social interaction is a dynamic changing sequence of a social actions between individuals or groups. So, social interactions, ito yung paano nag-act yung mga tao at paano sila nagre-react doon sa mga tao sa paligid nila. Basically, ito yung paano ka makipagkapwa-tao. Yan talaga yon. Paano ka makipag-usap sa tao at paano ka nagre-react sa iba't ibang ways na pinapakita ng isang tao. That is social interaction. Now, we have 5 types of social interaction according to Ervin Goffman. First is exchange. So when we say exchange, this is the most basic type, no? It is exchanging social behaviors for some type of reward of equal or greater value. Exchange. Mabait ka kasi gusto mo siyang maging friend. Mabait ka kasi pag naging mabait ka, bibigyan ka daw ng ganito, ng ganyan. Okay? Mabait ka sa kanya kasi kapag ka naging mabait ka sa kanya, makapunta ka sa malaking bahay nila, makapaglaro ka ng Barbie niya, ng toys niya. Ano pa? Mabait ka kasi kapag ka hindi ka naging mabait sa kanya or hindi ka ano ba? Hindi ka sumunod, you will not be part of the team. Okay? Competition, it's a social process by which two or more people attempt to attain a goal which only one can. So, parang, okay, sino yung magiging top 1, sino yung magiging MVP, sino yung parang competing, no? You attempt to achieve a goal pero isa lang yung mananalo. Cooperation, people work together to attain a common goal. Teamwork, tug of war, o sama-sama tayo, gawin natin 'to para manalo tayo. Team building activities, ano pa, mga laro, soccer race, basketball, 'di ba? You work together, volleyball, you work together to win the competition or to win the game. Next is conflict. It happens when there is disagreement or dissent in certain points among group members. So, syempre, ito yung mga disagreements, misunderstandings, no? Next is coercion, process of persuading someone to do something or cooperate using force, threat, or intimidation. Tinatakot mo para gumawa ng isang bagay. Pag di mo ginawa to, wag ka lalabas mamaya. Di ba uso yan? Di mo binigay sa akin ito yung mga bullies. Di mo binigay sa akin yung baon mo mamaya, lagot ka sa akin. Something like that. You give them or uh, they were threatened to do something. Yan. They were threatened to do something. Yan pala yun. Yan. Next, we have interpersonal relation naman, the second one. So, interpersonal relation has something to do with close or strong association or acquaintance between two or more people that may range and duration from brief to enduring. A bond or close association that exists between two or more people who may share common interest or goal. Interpersonal relations simply your relationship with other people. Or let's say, ito yung bonding na meron kayo, something na nagkakasundo kayo. Ano pa ba? Um, mm, this is how close you are with a person. For example, classmate ko siya nung college, classmate ko siya nung high school. Pareho kasi kaming mahilig sa ganito, pareho kami mahilig sa ganyan, kaya kami friends or best friends. Now let's move to, that is interpersonal relation. What are the types of interpersonal relationships? First is friendship. Unconditional interpersonal relationships which individual and into by their own choice and will. So, ito yung unconditional relationship na meron tayo sa isang tao. No? Pinili natin kung sino yung kakaibiganin natin, pinili natin kung sino yung gagawin nating friends, di ba? Love, characterized by love and intimacy, trust, and respect between individuals and might end up in marriage. Ito naman yung another type no, ng interpersonal relationships. Ito yung magjowa kayo, pinili mo siya because you trust that person, he or she, you both respect each other, there is intimacy between the two of you, and at the end of the, ano ba, at the end of everything, you will end up marrying each other. Next is platonic or platonic, relationship between individuals but without feelings of desire for each other. This is some type of relationship that you have with other people, pero wala kayong, hindi nyo gusto yung isa't isa. Like, for example, okay, we are friends, no, para siyang friendship. But, yun nga, you build relationship with them, walang mali siya. Ganon. Family, the relationship of individuals related to each other by blood or marriage. So, family, related kayo by blood or marriage. Yan. Pamilya. Work relationship, kind of relationship of individuals who work for the same organization. So, mararanasan nyo to kapag kayo nag-work na work relationship, or for example, you're a member of different organizations. So, in your organization, you have this work relationship wherein you have your relationship is as someone who is part of an organization. Next, moving to communication. So we have here communication. So communication, alam niyo na to, no? From Janet 5, this is exchanging information between two individuals. So sorry, my eye, that's typo. A two-way process of reaching understanding in which participants not only exchange information, news, ideas, or feelings, but also create and share meaning. So communication, you exchange information with other people. So here next naman, we are moving on to the educational implications of Vygotsky's theory. A while ago we talked about how wait. How those practices are implied in, yan, balik natin. How those practices are implied based on his view of learning. Ngayon naman, what are the educational implications of Vygotsky's theory. First, learner can think more effectively when they acquire the basic cognitive tools of various activities and academic disciplines. This is true. They learn effectively when they know something, or let's say they have the idea of something you're sharing with them, or they know how to do that. Nakaka-relate sila sa kung ano yung pine-present mo sa kanila. Children learn and remember more when they talk about the experiences. At yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na when you teach them, you should give them examples na nakaka-relate sila. And of course, examples na real life experiences. Okay, so next is children should have opportunities to engage in activities that closely resemble those that they will later encounter in adult world. Ito yung sinasabi ko na when we give examples or we share experiences to them, we should give them experiences na ma-encounter nila in the future. As we give them those type of activities and those examples, they will later realize na, etong, etong na-experience ko ngayon was discussed by my previous instructor like this, like that, mga ganon. Next, children often acquire better strategies when they collaborate or work with adults on complex tasks. Siyempre, sino ba ang best na makakapagturo sa mga bata, 'di ba? Kapag may hindi sila maintindihan or meron silang bagay na nahihirapan silang gawin, they tend to reach out to adults to help them with that. Yung adults, since napagdaanan na nila yun, they give that learner or the learner uh, suggestions or different techniques, strategies na mapapadali yung buhay nila. Ganito kasi yung gawin mo para hindi ka na mahirapan, ganyan, ganyan. Something like that. Next is... Next... Yan. Ay, ba't tayo bumalik? Wait. Yan. Next, learners can think more effectively when they acquire the basic cognitive tools. Tapos na tayo dito. Okay, next. Technology-based software application can effectively scaffold many challenging tasks and occasionally offer good alternatives to real-world activities and problems. So, syempre, nowadays, since technology-based na ang education, maraming application na nauuso. Syempre, hindi yun alam ng mga bata. So, the thing that adults or teachers should be doing is to help them, no? As they encourage them to do the task, syempre, guide them in doing the task and give them different activities and problems involving those software pa. Challenging tasks, especially when sufficiently scaffolded, tend to hasten cognitive development. So kapag kaya mga challenging tasks ay nabigyan ng help or naituro with help of professionals or experts, 'di ba? They give them techniques para mapadali or mabilis mong magawa yung mga bagay-bagay. Yun yung scaffolding, 'di ba? You give them pieces of advices and help them do tasks na sobrang hirap ng madali lang. So with that, nahahasan yung cognitive development ng learner. Mabilis siya natututo, mabilis siya nakakapag-cope up, mabilis siya makapag-isip ng strategies na pwede niyang gamitin kapag nandito siya sa ganitong sitwasyon and all. Next, children's ability should be assessed under a variety of work conditions. So, syempre, yung ability naman ng isang learner ay hindi tulad-tulad. Hindi rin tulad yung performance niya sa math, sa English, sa science, sa Filipino, and we need to understand that. No? And syempre, as we assess them, we should always consider their weakness and their strength. Group learning activities can help children internalize cognitive strategies. So as we give them group learning activities, they can brainstorm, exchange information, gain information from other people, and share what they know. With that, they can share their strategies na alam nila, and others and also they can learn from the strategies na meron yung ibang students or classmates nila. And with that, they can or it can hasten also their cognitive ability. So mas tumatalino ang bata kapag ka marami siyang alam. Now, let's move to peer interactive instructional strategies. These are the strategies, tama ba ako? Yan. Strategies that the learners can, wherein the learners pala can have multiple ideas and of course, share and benefit kapag ka sila ay nagkaroon na ng group activities, 'di ba? Yan. So, dito sa peer interactive instructional strategies, ito yung mga bagay na ano ba yung nakikita or mali. Dito sa strategies na to, makikita mo as future teacher kung ano ba yung kagandahan ng interaction with other people or with their classmates. First, they can clarify and organize their ideas and justify their ideas. So, yung mga bagay na parang hindi nila sure or hindi nila alam talaga kapag nagkaroon sila ng peer tutoring, for example, tinulungan sila, tinuruan sila na organize na kung ano yung alam nila. Okay? They tend to elaborate on what they learned. Kaya nilang i-explain kung ano yung natutunan nila. Kaya nilang magbigay ng example, kaya nilang i-justify yung ideas na nalaman nila. They are exposed to others' views, widening their knowledge and perspective. Di ba nga sabi ko, kapag nakipag-interact sila with others, may it be student or adult, they are widening their horizon, expanding what they know, and exposing themselves to much more, no, information, learning, and knowledge from other people. They may discover flaws or inconsistencies in their thinking and do self correction. 'Di ba? We learn socially. So meron tayong mga nalalaman na akala natin tama pero mali pala. As we interact with other people, makikita natin kung alin yung mali, alin yung tama dun sa ating na-discover. And with that, as we see na yung akala natin tama ay mali, kaya nating i-correct yung sarili natin. 'Di ba? Yan. Next, they can also practice their argumentation skills. Ang mga students kapag nagbe-brainstorm, group activity, kapag ka sila ay maraming alam, pag nagsama-sama yung maraming alam, nagkakaroon ng argumentation, which is not good at some part, but also good. Kasi napapractice yung kung paano sila mag-justify ng thoughts nila, paano sila magbigay ng example, paano sila maghain ng mga concerns, paano sila magbigay ng mga issues, for example. They gain more complex and sophisticated thinking and reasoning skills. So, tumataas yung level ng understanding and reasoning nila. They can acquire more sophisticated view of the nature of knowledge and learning. And, of course, they can see na, oh, as I interact with other people, I learned a lot. And with that, makikita nila kung gaano kaganda, no, and ka-powerful yung pakikipag-usap with other people and of course, learning and gaining knowledge from them. Now, let's move to features of interactive strategies. We have classroom discussion. Ito yung members usually engage in discussions where sometimes there but may not really be a correct answer, as in interpreting classic works in literature. More importantly, the students may take interest in or make sense of what they are reading. So classroom discussion, dito usually nangyayari yung discussion eh. Pero hindi natin sure or hindi naman talaga sure kung tama ba yung interpretation na ginagawa or way ng pag-interpret ng isang student based on what they know or based on what they've read. So dito, a teacher should be the correctors of knowledge pa din. But they can widen or they can still learn or correct their thoughts through reading again. Next, reciprocal teaching involves teachers and students to discussion and asking questions. So, nagtanong si teacher, sumagot sa student, nagtanong sa student, Sinagot ni teacher. So, meron tayong reciprocal teaching. Sabi ko nga, as the students learn from their teachers, the teachers are also learning from their students. Cooperative learning, students work together in a small group to achieve a common goal. For cooperative learning to be successful, some structure must be in place such that cooperation is not just helpful but is necessary for academic success. So pag cooperative learning, syempre, meron kayong common goal eh. So syempre, what are you going to do to achieve that goal? So what they need to understand is everyone should contribute, everyone should be as everyone benefit, everyone should contribute for you to achieve that certain goal as a group. Next, peer tutoring. Students who have mastered the topic and know it by heart teaches it to those who haven't. So, students teach other students. Or students, for example, na nasa honor, sila yung mga nagtuturo sa mga honor list, sila yung mga nagtuturo sa mga kaklase nila na hindi masyado naiintindihan yung tinuro ni teacher. That is peer tutoring. Next, communities of learners. Communities of learners. So communities of learners, teachers and students have shared goals, respect, support of one's efforts, and that each one makes an important contribution to classroom learning. Teacher and students collaborate to build a body of knowledge about a topic and help one another to learn more about it. So communities of learners, this is the shared experience of or shared community of the teacher and the student wherein there is a common goal pa din, or they share a goal, respect and support to everyone's effort in sharing information. So as the teacher discuss the topic, the student give example, share their ideas, and then that makes the learning or the topic more engaging, more entertaining, and more knowledgeable. So dito, pag communities of learner, hindi lang si teacher, kay teacher galing yung information. The students also share what they know, collaborate, add additional information, or share what they've experienced to the class. In that way, nagkakaroon ng interaction, no? Doon sa pagitan ng teacher ng student, student to student, student teacher. And with that, they were given additional information about the topic they're discussing. So, ayun lang po. So, that's all for the last topic, no? Here, for the developmental and sociocultural dimension of learning. So, yun lang po. So, I hope you've gained something from the discussion today. So, ayun. That's all. Thank you for listening. See you next time and God bless. Bye bye.